Alright, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at JSON files and how I've implemented them into our inventory system. So before I was talking about how we have a crafting system and inventory system, and the inventory is populated with crafting components. And these crafting components are then turned into the craftables, like the craftable boards, craftable CPUs, memory, and storage. So I'll give you a quick look at that. Let me disable this flame. Um, we go inside and we're gonna see uh, the inventory has nothing into it because we haven't picked up anything. Um, Over on this side we have our crafting panel, and from here you'll pick the motherboard that you would wish to craft. And if, let's say I pick the advanced one, the components required goes up, it updates automatically. If I try to craft it, it won't do it because I have nothing in my player inventory. Same thing with CPUs. You can try, and this is the requirement. And if you don't have it, then it's not going to craft it. The reason why you have the board, CPU, memory, and storage is for the system we have in place for skillware and abilities. Skillware is like our abilities. Uh, to do these things, the player needs a certain amount of processing power. Now, each CPU comes with a different amount of processing power. Say you have two CPUs, though. Now you can now it's double the power. That's basic math there. Um, so if I pull up the player information screen, we'll see that he currently has a factory default board. What this is this number here is the max number of CPUs he can have in this board, and the amount of DIMM slots he has, and say SATA cables, whatever, the interface to connect to the storage to the board. And by increasing the board, by getting a better board, you increase the max values of these. And this number up here, this is the processing power, the total memory, and the total storage, right? And by getting more of this, these skillwares will start to unlock. And when that happens, you'll see them populated on the hotbar down here, right? So let's go over here and grab some. As you can see, it pulled into the inventory. Okay, that should be enough. Now I've set the values pretty low so I can get a lot of the skillwares. So if I craft that, it worked. Successfully crafted a CPU and memory again. And now the last one's storage. And now, if you look across, I have 4 skillwares available to me. Um, what these skillwares do, they enhance your abilities. Like this one is a boost, which I will show you. So if you had an enemy in front of you, which I'll test it out over here. Hopefully it works first time. So if he's coming at you, you can push the 1 button. Oh, I didn't hit him. So I gotta wait till it recharges. See, now it's recharged. There we go. So make sure by the time he finishes that boost that he's hitting him. And once he hits him, your damage value is tripled. So now we'll look at, let's say this one here, we'll grab this gun. Notice the fire rate. Now I'm going to start shooting it, and while I'm shooting it, I'm going to push the 3 key, which is for this skillware down here, and it should enhance his fire rate. And it didn't. And why is that? Where's the error? I don't see an error. Final damage value. Let's try number 4. So if you look down at the bottom corner, you'll see his final damage value is 1. What number 4 is supposed to do is the end result every projectile that comes out of this gun is given a damage value, and it's enhanced with the sniper rifle and other things. But in this case, it will be enhanced for a certain amount of time while this skill wear is in effect. So let me try it. So we're get one right now. I push 4. Oh, so that one is actually the faster fire rate, as you've seen there. I think it's 10 seconds for that one to recharge, so we'll try it again. This should light up again at a certain point. I think it was 10 seconds. Okay, so it's ready. So I'm pushing it. There you go. So it's sped up. Okay, so let's try this one again. I thought that's what this one does. So the final damage value is 1. Still 1. Still says 1. It still says 1. So I'll have to look into that one. Oh no. Okay. You see that's 1.1 over here. I'm not sure why. I think it wasn't allowing me while this other one was active. Yeah. So you should be able to use them like at any point. So what it's doing, what I think it's doing is when when the cooldown is happening, the other ones aren't able to be used, which is that's not how it was intended. So I'll fix that. Again, I went through all this, but all these items here, the crafting boards, the CPUs, all this is brought in through JSON files. Okay, JSON files are just they're text files that can be brought in and serialized to be used with coding, with any kind of coding, like not just C sharp, but anything, JavaScript and everything else. So we'll take a look at them. So over here, this is my board type. So what we have here is you define, first initial thing you do is if you have more than one type, you have to create this little array here, and that's just with these, not these two brackets, right? That starts the array. And then these little squiggly brackets, the parentheses, they define the item that you want to bring in, right? So this is one board, okay? And you set your values. The cool thing about this, though, is this is in the resource folder. So after the game is compiled and given to your friend or shipped out, this file can be accessed before you load up the game, like a config file, and modified and changed. So if you wanted it more, this board to be more powerful or less powerful, you could do that. You just change that value, right? And they're all located inside the resource folder. So, and I'll show you how that's pulled in. Well, let's look at some of the other ones here, the craftables. So each craft, so you have a craft name, description, which I'll fill out later, but the type is exactly what it says, either board, CPU, memory, or storage. And then you start what components are needed. This has to match up with your with the components that you're bringing in as well, your items. So if we go over to our items JSON file, I have the exact same names. If this doesn't match up, you're gonna have issues. This has to exist, and for this to work, right? The same name, and that's all it is. It's based off the name. As you see, so the comp quantity is defining how much it needs of each. So I need one interface for this factory default board, and I need 2 for this and 2 for here. And that's how it works. items same way, but I've adjusted spawn rarity because really, I'm not even using this value right now, but what you do is you can change this value to be 100, and it'll spawn 100% of the time. Okay, that's how that works. Um, the difference between item quantity and quantity is this: if you pick it up or you receive a PCB, it's one, and this is how many you have. So when you pick up one of these, quantity will equal 1. If you had 2 here, quantity would equal 2. You pick up another one of these, it's now 4. So it just allows you to adjust that value. So you're not just having one of each type, you can pick up multiple if you wanted. And really, by what I was showing you, that I didn't have any physical objects at those lockers. That's done through my loop manager. Okay, so we'll look a bit at that as well. If we go over to our see if we can pull it, our database manager, this is where it all happens. It's Newsoft JSON. You have to use this namespace, and you can go download it. But with this, it allows you to serialize these objects. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm calling this function build database, and it's building these lists based on the text, that JSON text file. It's building it, and how it knows how to serialize because it's based off of your board type's constructor, right? So, or craftables constructor and resource, or sorry, not resource, but skill where. So what happens here is that if you look at our board type, not the JSON file, but the actual class right here. Okay, so you have all the attributes listed here. But most importantly is this, defining your constructor, because this is what it uses. This is what when it's trying to bring all that information in, this is how it builds that object by these values, and that's how it works. So let's see. I'll go over to if I can see it here. Where is it? Loop table. No, I need I need the loop manager. So how this loop manager works is it will not work without the main database. So this holds all our items. This is where the loop manager will pull from. You know, all these items we throw into this JSON file then get thrown into a list. And the list is defined by right here, list items, and and it's all thrown into there. I mean, that's just the way it works. It deserializes the array, multiple items into items, and it'll just keep adding to this. And so we have that list built. Now we go over to our loop manager. Our loop manager depends on this file. Okay, so you can throw this loop manager on anything. You can throw it on a rock, and as long as it has a box collider that is set to trigger, it will allow you to start this process. And that's what this does. This on GUI within range. If you're within range, it'll call this. But so the on trigger exit, if you leave that collider, not within range anymore, so turn this off. Okay, if you're staying here, you can get keyed down. So if it's within range is not true, it's setting it to true. it's forcing that, and then it's going through once. It's you push F, fine, plays the sound clip, and then box collider gets disabled because we don't want him to constantly be going over there anymore. If the locker is open, it's open, right? If the rock is flipped, it's flipped. Is open, set the bool is open to true. Within range, false. Important because now this won't be called anymore. This on GUI, so you won't be seeing the push F to open. Uh, Animator bool, if your object, like the rock, might not have an animation, that's why you have the animator is equal to null, then call this. Setting the temp list, I'm not sure why I have that temp list there. String temp list. Okay, so why, I know why I have it. Okay, so what you're gonna do then is the item count that you have, um, which is set, where is it? Item count. Item count equals 25. So how many items this is going to spit out, and I put it high for a reason. It's just so I can test things. So it's going to go through there and run this method 25 times, and then here's the whole drop chance between 0 and 101, and it's just going to go through all this. It's going to find the item that it needs based on these values, because it's based off that spawn rarity. So if you have that spawn rarity small, it's going to skip it. Well, it'll figure it out. It will only come out rarely. And then what do I got here? So this is the enumerator for displaying the information. It's just, so this is a delegate that I have set up so it can update the information window for the item, and then remove the information from it just for 3 seconds. That's the little thing you see at the bottom when it'll be right here when you grab something, it'll pop up showing you the items you get, whatever, if it has that. So with all that being said, I mean, it's JSON files are really powerful. I've been trying to, where's the player stuff? Player, no, I want the player JSON stats. So I mean, slowly converting everything over, even the player, his stats will be based off of this. That way, anyone playing the game can go in there and modify it, and this is what he'll have. His character name will be changed, and his looting, if we'll have that ability as well. Have that looting ability, so if he goes up to a locker, that value that I was talking about with the loot manager will be modified by this value. So yeah, that's how it works. So in the end, we have every craftable being pulled in by JSON, every item, and they're not actual objects in Unity, and that's why I couldn't just take this thing here, this hit me cube, and I can't just throw on item. It doesn't even show up because it's not a mono behavior, and Unity is its own class, right? So instead, I kind of I trick it by doing item pickup. As long as this name correlates with the one in our database, then it will work. And then you can pick up this thing, like you named it again, PCB. Doesn't matter for all these. And the other thing, remember, is the box collider. Make it a little bit bigger. And more importantly, the box collider has to be trigger. Has to be. So if we go over to this box, oh, you know why? So there was one other thing. Remember, this layer has to be on items, right? If it that's or else he's just going to constantly run into things and do those checks. You don't want that happening, right? And his image there shows PCB because that's the name. Uh, it's just the way it's set up. So yeah, that's it for now. So that's a little update about the whole skillware setup and how we're pulling in information with our items. And I'm gonna slowly convert to everything over to JSON, like as much as I can. Even enemies I want spawned from these JSON files. I want people to be able to configure how they want the enemy to be, and it's totally possible. So with that being said, anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks.